Alright, I know I said a while ago, I think like last month maybe, or December, I said I wanted to do a bit more different content, especially with the whole poll that we had. And I wanted to talk about, different things that's maybe not so lewd a lot of the time. Maybe let's talk about some games or, something else of the sort. And and obviously we talked about Genshin and some of the times when it comes to that. But now let's kind of redirect ourselves to another game that you guys know I like and absolutely love to the death of me, which is Kingdom Hearts. And today I want to really more focus on Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Keyblade transformations. Now, I don't know how this video is going to be received by you guys, much less the general public that might, potentially say something because I said that Keyblade transformations are bad, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be the title of the video. I hate Keyblade transformations. And I thought I was lying when I was saying that. I thought it was gonna be a clickbait title. But I kinda do hate it, just a little bit, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. When it comes to Kingdom Hearts, obviously there's plenty of different abilities that you can get within the game. If you are or if you aren't familiar with the Kingdom Hearts series, when you come to play Kingdom Hearts, it's obvious that obviously you shouldn't be no stranger to the different types of abilities and moves that you can pull, whether it's situational or whether it's actually something that Sora can do, where you can do, different commands of what he can do, like maybe like sliding dash or, something like fire raid or whatever abilities within that game. Chain of Memories had a lot of them, but when you have stuff like, and then you also have like stuff like the triangle button with the reaction commands that you get in Kingdom Hearts 2. But all in all, you get like a different amount of stuff when it comes to each Kingdom Hearts game. Every main Kingdom Hearts game is different with their mechanics in some shape and form. The one thing in Kingdom Hearts 2 that I absolutely loved is the dry forms, which is the start really of all the crazy stuff that you can really potentially do when it comes to some type of transformation of some sort. And that has continued onward with even Kingdom Hearts 3 with its own way of doing things, which is the Keyblade transformations. Personally for me, the Keyblade transformations, when they were first introduced, it was fun. It was something cool and I absolutely loved it, and it was something that I was gonna be like, yeah, that's 100% something I'm down for. I don't mind that. That's kind of cool that Sora can just transform his Keyblade into many different things. And they even said it, I believe Nomura said in an interview that the Keyblade can do things like this and transform into many different things, have potentially limitless abilities of what it can do. But looking at it, it kind of makes me feel like, is this all it can do? Granted, we know it's not all it can do because the Keyblade can turn into whips. The Keyblade can turn into a damn vehicle. It can turn into other weapons, which is absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, it makes it feel like it's somewhat limited of what it kind of is. I know he said that it's not limited, but it feels like it. Especially when you get to look at a lot of these, Disney Keyblades, or look at a lot of these Keyblades from other places. It just makes it feel like it's limited in some shape or form when it comes down to it. Maybe I'm not making that much sense. Let me try to make this clear as the best way I can. Personally, for me, the Keyblade transformations are the equivalent of summons in any Kingdom Hearts game. And you know when you use a summon? The only time you use it is when you just want to test it out, or maybe just pull it out just for fun. But that's about it. That you don't really use summons for any part of the game, really. It's not a requirement that you have to use it. It's not even like a major feature of the game that you really want to use. It's just there for, hey, a cool cameo, good to see ya, and then that's it. Like, I don't even touch summons. The most summons I ever touched in Kingdom Hearts 3 was symbols, and that's 3 times throughout the entire time I've had that game. It's still something I don't really bust out unless I'm fighting Yozora, because Yozora is some bull. But definitely when it comes to summons, I don't really use it in really any shape and form that is like, oh, I have to bust it out here. No, I don't really use it. The moment I see it, I'm just like, oh, cool, nice to see you, Ariel, nice to see you, Simba, and that's pretty much it for me. And when it comes, and that's the same thing we get with the Keyblade transformations. Honestly, it gives me that same feeling. Like, yeah, the Keyblade transformations is cool, And while I do like some of them, it just gets kind of boring over a while, you know? Especially watching the transitions again, which, yeah, you can get cut off, but it's still, you know it's there. You know you can be done switching it back on to show the transitions, and then you're still fighting with, you know, what you have. And that's pretty much how it is. Honestly, I get maybe also a part of it, the reason why I think it's boring is mainly because you only can spend so much time within each state, and you don't really get to experience it all the way as much as you would like to, like a normal Keyblade. Maybe that's a part of the reason, but that just is me. Maybe that's just me though. But definitely, in some shape and form, I don't know how to explain this properly, but it just feels like with, let's say, with all the Keyblades that can transform into different weapons, it feels like it's limiting what the Keyblade is. Honestly, it feels like it's limiting what type of thing that a Keyblade can do when it comes to sort of things. When it comes to certain sort of things, honestly, because it just feels limited. Like favorite deputy, like, yeah, I can turn it into a drill, yeah, I can turn it into a hammer, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much as far as useful as the Keyblade goes. And it kind of makes me miss the Draft Wars in Kingdom Hearts 2 a bit, mainly because yes, you have random stuff you can do with the Keyblade. Yes, you can, you know, have two Keyblades at once. Remember when that was a thing, and it was really cool. But at the same time, it didn't feel like it was boring. It felt like you could literally continue on with the forms and try to figure out a new way to make the Keyblade a cool weapon by more so changing Sora himself instead of changing what the Keyblade is. That's kind of what I'm missing, honestly, is that Sora can do ridiculous things more than the Keyblade can. Honestly, that's what it feels like when it comes to the Draft Wars, especially because how is Sora being able to manipulate the Keyblades like this? It's not. It feels like more the Keyblades are manipulating themselves in 3 more than it is in 2. Honestly, like if you look at Final Form, what Sora is technically kind of like, you know, doing that floating Keyblade nonsense in, you know, by itself. How is he doing that? How is he manipulating the Keyblades to go this way and this way and this way, and then up and down rapidly, and then dash down when he needs to have it do his own thing, you know? Like that's the thing about Sora and his use of the Keyblade, is that, you know, the man is out here manipulating it himself. Man is doing more extravagant stuff with it, honestly, without the Keyblade necessarily doing stuff. I guess it's just the fact too that we've seen Sora do so much without the Keyblade transforming ever, to the point it's just like, okay, this is cool, but it kind of like doesn't really mean too much to me, honestly, because it feels like Sora could do a lot of this stuff without the Keyblade transforming, and he can, honestly. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the Keyblade transformations is 100% horrible. Like, I love Shooting Star. Shooting Star is one of my favorite Keyblades in the entire game just because it turns to 2 blocks. But again, Sora could kind of do that in Wisdom form. Granted, a less cool version of Shooting Star, but it is a bit, you know, much when you. I wouldn't say it's a bit much, but it seems. But it kind of just gets a bit boring. It kind of gets a bit boring when you use it over and over again, honestly. And yeah, you have the option to change Keyblades on the fly, which is something that needs to return in the future games. But definitely, I guess it just feels like the transformations get boring, I suppose. And I would honestly, in replacement of that, of the transformations, and kind of, because I kind of don't want the transformations to come back, but if it comes back like in Shooting Star, that's fine. If it comes back in certain other Keyblades, that's fine. But I don't necessarily think every Keyblade needs a transformation. I think it needs to be a mix of Drive forms and a mix of Keyblade transformations in some shape or form, or give the Keyblade a different thing to do, kind of like how Aqua has like Spellweaver, and like have her do like some Drive form transformations and stuff like that with the future Keyblades. Have it have their own power without them transforming, I suppose. Maybe, I know this is probably one of the most base thoughts I have ever really had, but definitely that's how I feel about it. And instead of just like, you know, keeping transformations in, you should also replace it by bringing back the reaction commands, especially during boss fights, because boss fights in Kingdom Hearts 3, not gonna lie, is low-key kinda boring without them. I would like to see Sora do some cool shit on his own without me putting in some crazy ass buttons. Like, if you want to make the reaction times a little bit more challenging, put the reaction times and changes into a situation where you have to hit the button really quick and pay attention or you're going to die, or something cool. Like, if we get a Sephiroth fight in Kingdom Hearts 4, hopefully so, then I would definitely like to see a reaction command and not me just blocking square with Sephiroth all the time and nothing cool happens. Like, I want to see reaction commands to come back in Kingdom Hearts 4, most definitely. You can keep some stuff that happens in Kingdom Hearts 3, you can keep some of the mechanics, but definitely I would like to see the drives make a more mainstay type of look. I would like to see the drives come back in a more mainstay type of way, and definitely I would like to see the reaction commands make a big way to come back as well. Also, one last thing is that the anti-form from Kingdom Hearts 2 needs to come back, not rage form, because I don't want to see Sora use his Keyblade while he's in rage. No, I don't want to see that. When he was throwing down with hands and feet, that was lit. I was like, that is my favorite form of all time, because he doesn't use a Keyblade here. And as you can see, in the game, you can tell that Sora, yeah, he can throw some hands. He can throw some hands without the necessary need of a Keyblade. So, you know, the man laid it into the Pirates world with, you know, Davy Jones. Like, he wasn't playing, he was throwing some haymakers. So definitely Sora doesn't necessarily need a Keyblade to throw some hands. Hell, Aqua don't need a Keyblade to throw some hands, if I'm being honest. But definitely, I do feel like Anti-Form needs to have a no Keyblade type of thing with it. Mainly because it would make sense that the Anti-Form doesn't have a Keyblade. Because, again, well, then again, they kind of retconned that, you know, the way how Keyblades are, so it's kind of weird. But still, definitely, I just don't think Sora should use a Keyblade at that point, because he shouldn't be, like, focused in on using it. It's like a Heartless trying to use a Keyblade. How would a Heartless use a Keyblade? Don't really know. It shouldn't be a thing. I don't understand why they retcon a lot of stuff, but that's just how it is. But anyway, that's my genuine thoughts about Keyblade transformations and what I think should return in Kingdom Hearts 4. And that's pretty much what I could only really summarize up in. Like I said, I don't really think Keyblade transformations need to go away completely. Like, some Keyblades can have it, but most definitely I feel like a lot of the stuff don't need to be there, honestly. Not saying that the Keyblades need to be boring as I don't know what, but definitely I think they need to be having some kind of cool thing that more Sora is doing, more than the Keyblade itself, I guess. It's weird, and I don't really know how to describe it once again, but it just feels like, I just feel like the Keyblade needs to do something better than just transformations in its particular forms and stuff. That's just me. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to cover for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification way out. Also follow me on Twitter to talking later, donate to channel, Patreon, and Ko-Fi is available as well. And until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.
Baby, say my name as if you got a fucking clue. Always caught up in the moment, not condoning what I do. I've been messing with my chemistry to find the better me, putting thoughts up on the page in hopes that you could get to me. Been this way since legit, my brain couldn't quit. Running from my issues, roll the pain in a spliff, fade away every hit. Nobody needed me, too afraid to commit.